Great. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Torelli. I'm the chairman of the Orange County Industrial Development Agency. I'd like to open today's meeting on Wednesday, January 19th, 2022. We'll make a correction to the agenda.
Oh, yes.
It says 21.
All right.
Still stuck
Give us at least January to get through that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that we have myself and Paul Receivers board members present at the meeting. Just want to make sure that both Dean and Dr. Odock can hear us, and we can hear them. Everything good, Dr. Odock?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you.
Thank you.
Everyone can stand for the pledge, please.
Like that way.
Like that way. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Billy, you want to take the roll call for attendance, please?
Yes, sir. Michael Torelli.
Present.
Paul Rfps.
Present.
Dean Tambury.
Present.
And Vincent Oda.
Present.
All right. All four board members are present. We do have some guests this evening. We have our general counsel, two representatives from Bousquet Holstein. We have attorney Susan Katzoff, and we have paralegal Lori McRobbie. We also have our bond counsel, Russ Genzel from Harris Beach on the line as well, as always. We have representatives from our tonight's applicants, two sets of applicants. We have and two representatives for each. And we also have Shannon Manisi from RBT CPAs, who is our new CFO, really, for lack of a better term. We're excited about that transition. So when we get to financials, we'll update you on that and introduce you to Shannon.
Great.
That's everyone, I do believe.
Great, thank you. And welcome to all of our consultants for attending our meetings and attending virtually. Let's go right into approval of minutes. Bill, everything good?
Yes, minutes from our December 15th meeting. If anyone, unless anyone has any corrections, deletions, we will look for a motion to approve. Motion by Paul Rfps. We have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Mr. Odock.
Dr. Okay. I can ask you, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Tambury, I'm just not seeing your response. I'm sorry. I'm looking. Aye, sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay, 4 ayes. Motion passes. Next we roll right into finance.
Let's go into finance.
Alrighty, as you all know, we in the last couple of months gave presentations from different respondents to our RFP for a new financial consultant, kind of acting as an CFO for hire is a term we've used. Well, after doing a comparative analysis, the board selected RBT CPAs to be serve that role at least for the next year. And we've been working with Shannon Manisi, who again is joining us this evening, and she's been a terrific help already. And we've been working, of course, with UHY, who's been doing our bookkeeping and serving in some of these capacities to date. They've been a great help in this transition. February 1st will be the cutoff date where after that point, RBT will be taking over and actually doing bookkeeping, and the work product will be all of theirs at that point. Tonight, I do want to say that Shannon's going to start by presenting the December financials, as she'll do monthly, but those financial reports are the work product of UHY. I just want to be clear about that, but Shannon is going to present that. So Shannon, we want to welcome you, and if you can just introduce yourself and get right into the financial report, please.
So as Bill said, I'm Shannon. I'm from RBT. I'm one of the partners on the government side. So I was provided some Excel monthly financial statements from UHY. So I'm going to go through them. I do have all three, Bill. So do you want me to speak to them, all three, or you want me to just focus on the two?
All three, if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my work product, but I mean, I could just tell you where your numbers stand, because it's just a snapshot of December versus year to date. So I could talk about that a little bit. Let me just share my screen.
And that to give you capability there?
I don't think so. I think it worked. All right, so we'll start with the IDA. So you can see for December, your income was scarce at $212 for interest earnings, but overall year to date, it's $3.4 million. So according to this schedule, 3.1 was budgeted, so you're over, and you have 308,000 more than what you guys anticipated for the fiscal year. If we scroll down to your expenses again, you had minimal expenses of 7,000 between auditors and insurance. Again, I can't speak to the detail as to what's in these accounts because I don't really know the detail yet. But you had overall 157,000 and you had 149, which was budgeted. So you're $8,700 over on that side. And if you scroll down, you didn't have any other expenses for the month of December. And overall, you were at the end at 244,203. And with a budgeted amount of 1.1 million, you budgeted a surplus of over $2 million. So your actual is you're at $3.2 million over on the IDA. Again, I don't know if these numbers still need to be adjusted. I presume that this is not reflective of all year-end accruals because I know UHY was still working on some of that stuff, but as of when this was prepared on 1/19, this is where the IDA stands. I'll ask if there's any questions. I can maybe try and speak to them, but overall, this is a very good a representation of where you guys stand, and you're in the positive, which is good.
So Shannon, this is Mike Sorelli. Just wanted to stress to our members and to our consultants that obviously we had a pretty good year with our cost constraints that we put in there. One question that I'll pose, I don't need an answer today, but I'd like to get an opinion from both council and from consulting, is should we have these separated still? This question a couple times already so far, and I'm still not comfortable with why we have a separate sheet for the IDA, separate sheet for accelerator, you know, in parentheses, because while the first sheet may show that we've had 0.2 million in income expenses, the second sheet shows that we spent over $1 million in the accelerator stuff. I just don't know if they need to be consolidated or if we need a third sheet that says against the two, give us an overall picture overall with the entire, I'll say, portfolio on the IDA side of the ledger, right? Not Capital Funding Corp, but IDA side of the ledger is.
Before Shannon responds, let me just say that, and make it clear to her as well, that, yeah, of course, I worked to build the 2022 budget, and I didn't build it separately. It's all one comprehensive budget. So that's what Shannon will be working from, really, in order going forward for 2022. Obviously, this is a remnant of 2021, but just to be clear, that's where we built it as one unit, and I'll let Shannon further respond to how that can play out.
So for your monthly presentations, I can present the information in any way you would prefer. If you prefer everything together, I can do that. I don't know the backstory as to why they were being presented separately, but if the budget was prepared as if it was one unit, I could do one of two things. I could present them together and have two columns, or have it set up where they're on the same page, but they're showing individually if you prefer, or I can just do it as I would say consolidated, where everything's just in one column. So I'll leave that to you guys, and you can let me know what you would prefer.
I mean, I'm thinking 2022, I mean, that would be the time with the new fiscal year, starting January 1, that we may want to show, or at least have it presented to us all in one format, have it consolidated. We're not separating Bill's time based upon what he works on and part of the accelerating projects, some of which are pending compared to other stuff. We're really not, we do have some distinct expenses. I think we can GL code that so we know what our expenses are in the accelerator operations. But just for consolidation and for ease of knowledge, I would like to potentially see what a consolidated one would look like. I think the board would, benefit from that, would give us a snapshot of our entire picture and we could always get into details with GL codes of what our costs are on the accelerator side compared to what our revenues are on the accelerator side.
Yeah. We can definitely work on that. I don't know from the perspective of if the accelerator has its own QuickBooks file yet, because I haven't gotten access to that information. If it does, then I would have to combine it in an Excel file after the fact. What we kind of had discussed is that there's no reason why these schedules can't be direct exports out of QuickBooks. The software has the capabilities. It also has the capabilities to put the budgets directly in there so that if at any moment in time somebody wanted a budget to actual, a report could be run right then and give you that information. Currently, that doesn't seem to be what's happening. It seems that everything's being exported to Excels, which then the budget's being added. So there's a lot of extra work that's going into this to get you the information that should automatically be at your fingertips. So once I get into everything, I can figure out if that's feasible. If not, I can create a consolidated QuickBooks file that could bring that information together for you guys.
No, great. If you could present something to us potentially at the next meeting, that would be what it would look like. That would be great. And then we can vote on it if we want to add something, take it away, around. But you can work on that. I think that would be something that you could present to the board that we can vote on getting it, say, as of January 1st. We'll use January as our test month.
Okay.
That would be great. I think it would make it easier for us to ingest, but also give a better snapshot of the true finances combined underneath the IDA's umbrella.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yes.
Signed for the accelerator space are signed by the IDA, correct?
Correct.
So all of these are truly the IDA.
The IDA expenses.
Obligations. So, okay, yeah. I'm sure it's you.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions from board members on page 8 of our packet, which is the first area? I don't have any questions. They're page 9 of our packet. I'm good. No questions. We'll continue to have you present page 10, and then we'll vote on that and accept it probably. So if you want to go ahead, Shannon, and present page 10, which is the deposits on hand.
The deposits on hand.
Yeah.
So this is this the schedule that you're referring to?
Page 10 in the original packet where it shows Orange Bank and Trust, it shows our different accounts.
Okay, so yeah, I have a file called 2021 bank balances as of 12/31. So I'm going to presume that this is what you guys have in your physical packet, as I don't have that information. So your balances for the Orange Bank and Trust, I don't know who prepared this schedule, but you have a $1 million principal, but there's no information here. So when I take over, this will be corrected so that if there's missing information, it will be here. I'm going to presume that it's Orange Bank and Trust since it's listed with those.
No, I think it's separate. We voted on having a separate CD.
We did.
It's a separate CD. Okay.
That's a separate one, so I'll have to do some homework on correcting that.
I don't think
Okay.
we've gone through that yet, Shane. We've gotten there, you and I, okay?
Okay.
We'll follow up. But it was
So-
delayed a little bit because we haven't today.
Okay. For the cash in your Chase, you have 5.1. In Orange Bank and Trust in your checking account for the accelerators, you have 312,000. In your M&T bank account, you have 1.6. In your checking for the trust escrow at Orange Bank, you have 77,000. Your total CDs and treasuries is $1 million. And Sterling National, you have 1.7. So you have 9.9, almost $10 million in the bank, which is a big amount. And then for the funding corp, you have overall $1.6 million.
Okay, so on page 10 on this, if we can consolidate and put an end number so we know what that end number is, even if it's just a simple addition.
For both entities?
Yeah, for all, for the different groups, the certificates of deposit and then the cash on hand and the I'll say the regular account types. So we can total that up. It's more than, it's the 9.9 plus the million plus the interest that we've had on that 1.5 million, I think. So I think it's
Yeah.
a little bit off. But
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
understandable.
again, this is the file that I was provided. So you're 11.5 million on those. And then if these are true investment balances, you're at 13.
Okay.
And just for the record, in case anyone's listening, the numbers she quoted are rounded.
Right,
to the penny.
right.
So, for instance, you have a trust account that has a specific number in it.
Yeah.
Shannon, our counsel is just clarifying that you're rounding numbers. That's all. You're rounding your figures.
Yes, I am rounding my figures. Do you prefer exact values?
No, I mean, as long as we're gonna vote on the actual page, that's
Okay.
fine. The way you present is just verbal, that's fine, we're not doing that, but, so with that, I'll accept the motion to accept the financials as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Dean, thank you. Murray?
I'll second it, Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anybody opposed? Abstentions? All right, carried unanimously.
So we do have our December, January payables. You want to come back to that afterward?
So let's stay right on that. And then before the chairman's report, we'll switch.
Got it.
So let's continue on with this, get this out of the way. Thank you. So who'll be presenting this?
I'm going to present these bills.
Okay,
Okay.
we're on page 11 of our IDA packet.
Okay, first is Orange and Rockland, that's for Warwick. I will mention that if something has come up before, we've been paying for the CAM charges, utilities, insurance, et cetera, at Warwick, but we did learn that it was actually in the subleases with our subtenants that they should be remitting payment for that, or reimbursing us at least. So Kelly's been preparing that. That building's about to go out, I believe tomorrow. I think she'll have that ready to go out, based upon square footage of each tenant. So that electricity, that's part of the CAMs we're paying, but it will be reimbursed.
So that's all we recovered.
It will be recovered, exactly.
So in other words, we pay it, they reimburse.
Correct.
Okay.
And none of that was going on in 21. We learned that about the leases. We talked to all the tenants. They know that a bill's coming and they're going to pay for true up for all of 21.
Okay, and we are collecting rental incomes to cover this.
We are, correct. And we pay $1 to the town of Warwick over the entire term of our lease, which I believe is 5 years. So $1 for that. So yes, we are receiving subtenant rent and their CAM charges as well.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, let's see. Time Warner Cable, that's internet down the hill. It's 334 Avenue of the Americas. I will tell you that has been switched over as of this week to the tenants. Are now going to be paying for their internet because those are in buildings that we're no longer leasing, actually. So that'll be switched over. Same thing with the utilities, actually in the next section, Central Hudson Gas and Electric, both at Newburgh on Broadway, 603 and 605, and in New Windsor at 334 Avenue of the Americas. We're transferring all of that service over to the landlords. Obviously, down in New Windsor, and in Newburgh, it's B4 Holding. So these are the last payments we'll be making for those sites for these utilities. That's really my point. The others you see all the time, Complete Document Solutions. This is all our copies at the headquarters. Sanitation at 334. We are not paying for 3 buildings, but we're still paying for 2, so we're still providing sanitation there. The rent you see for B4 Holdings, again, that's 603 and 605 Broadway in Newburgh. Just as a reminder, we're no longer paying rent there. However, any rent payments we receive from our subtenants, we are remitting directly to the landlord. That's what that $1,000 is. That's multiple tenants' rent that we're paying back to them. First Columbia, that's for our rent and our gas and electric at the headquarters in Friday Lane. 88 Studio, that's Dean's normal retainer for all his AV, IT backup work, but it also includes $105 there, which is for business cards. Frankly, it was my business card. He designed them and ordered them, and we reimbursed him for that. Our monthly advertising with MidHudsonNews.com, our office cleaning at the headquarters. There is the next item, TPX. This is one item I'm going to ask you not to approve payment for. We are working with Sue. We have not been pleased with the service, and we're we're going to be dealing with the company on that. We're asking not to pay for that at this time, so I do have an amended total we'll get to at the bottom. Frontier, this is for phone and internet service at the Middletown Accelerator. I have been talking for quite a while about the internet there because it was very expensive and it was on contract. That contract just expired, so we'll be looking to reduce those costs. See what other options are. That'll be coming up. Cleaning at Middletown. Our Chamber of Commerce membership, Orange County Chamber of Commerce, we're renewing that. Crystal Rock is our cooler. You see that all the time. Water service. Card member service. So that's for a few items here. We did just make a switch to away from Gmail, Google Suite, over to Microsoft 365. A few of us had complaints about the old product, so we did make a switch there. We are keeping Google for a month or so, just through this transition, so you're going to see both of those on there, but that's there as well. We also paid our annual fee for our Adobe Suite that we use to be able to manipulate PDFs and such. And we also, a couple other expenses, office supplies, a couple of inexpensive coffee makers we purchased, and that's about it. And the copier lease for the Kyocera unit in the Middletown Accelerator is the last item. So the grand total presented to you is $26,092.05. We're taking off the TPX charges of $1,009.50. Unless my math is wrong, I see a new total of $25,082.55. All for recurring charges, of course.
Great. Can I get a motion? Anyone have any questions on that? Does anyone have any questions? I'd entertain a motion to accept page 11 and 12.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Dean. Can I get a second? Second. Thank you, Paul. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Passed unanimously. Next page, please.
Okay. Next tranche is our monthly contracts. UHY, this is an unusually high number because they simply have not sent us an invoice since June. So this is, we received their fee for bookkeeping and QuickBooks work from July till December. Let me see, any other clarification there? One is for the IDA, one is for the Accelerator, as we just spoke about. So that's their fee. Next is Low Key Braille Consulting. That's our local labor auditing firm. That's a typical number for them. That is generally for site visits for a couple of active projects right now. And now you're seeing, I think, our first billing from our new general counsel. I do expect that to go up quite a bit, especially as much as I've been calling her. It's going to go up a lot. And then you did authorize me to resolve our internet, our IT issues, our data network, our local area network at the headquarters. ITC did that, completely rebuilt it. So you see that's the last charge in here for contract expenses.
Only note that I'll make is that we do have a pending RFP that is out there, or RFQ for labor consulting. And while it's not on the agenda today, we're looking at potentially doing it next month, reviewing all the information and potentially voting on it as early as next month if we have all the information in line. I just want to let everybody know that that is one of the many procurements that we've been doing, but it wasn't completed. It wasn't able to be completed by today, so we're pushing it to the February board meeting.
Yes.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to pay the bills as presented on page 13, monthly contracts.
Actually, just one quick
Oh,
question.
sorry.
UHY, why didn't they send us
Kelly had been reminding them, they just didn't. They, just like our Middletown rent, it didn't come until the end of the year. We got them all 12 months.
Okay.
So it was Kelly. I know Kelly because it's come up before. I've looked for the bills before. She has, made mentions to them a few times. So now that we're at the end of our contract, they're kind of truing them.
Okay.
Any other questions about page 13 on the monthly contracts? All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Paul. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll get a second. I beat you.
Yeah.
There you go. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Yes, with 4. Next page, please.
Okay, the last set here, all other bills. First is
The
the,
all other category.
all other. This is the other side of the equation with the local labor auditing, where we're transferring to the escrow account. This is really for 2 active projects, mostly Orange Inn and GAM. That's what that is. William A. Smith and Son, we have 2 bills. One is for OCFC. This is, of course, the IDA. This is for our general liability, professional liability coverage. You'll see this again on OCFC as well. We've been working with our agent, William A. Smith, local agent, trying to provide any updates to our personnel count, anything like that would affect this number. It did go down based upon the responses we gave them, but not considerably. It's a higher amount for OCFC. So want you to be aware of that. They already paid it on our behalf because of the time are actually being able to address payables. So William A. Smith and Son paid it for us, and we.
This is something in 2022, I think we discussed about procuring,
Yes,
at least
sir.
getting some quotes, so we make sure we're paying, or that we're competitively shopping it. So that's something to put on the agenda for the future. We'll take a look at, take your recommendation, Bill, about timing of when that should happen, so we can hit the next cycle. But that's something that I don't think has been procured over a period of time, so it's something, it's another one of the lists of things we want to procure.
It is. We'll definitely.
No,
do that.
that's not disparaging William A. Smith.
No, I
They're a
understood.
great organization. Like, a lot of people use them, a lot of businesses use them, and they're great in our community, but we want to make sure that, so, this vision plan that.
As we're doing with everything, absolutely, understood. New York State EDC, that's New York State Economic Development Corporation, really the advocacy agency. They represent economic developers and certainly IDAs very well. It's priceless. I went to the Cooperstown conference shortly before I came on full time here. They're advocating, they're informing us. I'm sure Ms. Katzoff could certainly, second what I'm saying. So to me, it's a no-brainer.
So with that one, knowing that we were used as a case study last time, if a quick note from our CEO to them, asking them to have another case study of us on how well we've done with changing stuff around, might be something that would feel a lot better than the board for paying.
Ms. Katzoff actually presented in that. I was in the back of the room with a bag on my head, but she was presenting in that session. So
Not about you.
no, not about you.
It's not part of that.
Yeah. But,
So yes, that's something we'll revisit. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Very much.
And it's just, and I'll say this in, really tongue in cheek, but if there's any trainings that we should have, that we should host, or I'll even go one step further. If there's, knowing that there's other IDAs in our county, it's something that we can host to help them, we would definitely take that under consideration, using them as the caveat to make sure that it's done with proper vetting, that it's done with people who are properly knowledgeable on whatever topic they're presenting. It's something that we could potentially host, I think, and I think the board would.
We've been talking about that, so
We're thinking
we're
about
going
that.
to follow
Something
up.
that you would present, but it's something that I think being a county-run organization, knowing that the certain towns have it and they don't have the that we do, it's something that we may be able to provide. So we're all literally working off of the same page. All right?
We started those discussions. Follow up with you on that.
Cool.
Last item on here, a small amount, $38.62. That's Seco Silkscreen. That's one of our subtenants in the New Inter Accelerator. Excuse me. Pardon me. I have to give Fernando Ulari, the owner there, and the other tenants, they share a laser fabric cutter. They share 2 embroidery machines. They share a forklift and some other resources. And, we're right now responsible for any maintenance on that. And they fix as much as they can. So Mr. Ulari, he actually fixed the, I think that's for the forklift right there. No, I'm sorry, that's a water heater that was not working in their unit. And he ordered the parts, and we just reimbursed him for the parts. So he fixed it. That's what that is. And they do a lot of that. That's why I mentioned it. So that's the rest from all of it.
All right. Any questions on the all other category? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the payments as presented on page 14.
Make a motion.
Dr. Oda? Yeah, thank you, Dr. Oda. I knew it was your turn.
Was that Dean?
Or was that Dean?
Then, all right.
Dean.
All right, so Dean, so Dr. Oda, you're seconding it, right?
No,
Is that what I heard?
no, I think Dean,
I made the motion. She was looking for a second.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor? Aye.
aye.
Abstain? Anything? Bueller? Okay.
I heard the ayes there.
All right, those are the ayes. All right, we're at the end of our finance, CFO transition update. Anything quick?
I led off the top of that with my introduction with Shannon. My only other question is signatories. There'll be a change with board members, and we do need to have 2 signatures. I still would respectfully ask for 3, or I'd be able to be one of them. That's fine if you don't suggest that now, but a third one would make it easier. We don't have enough board members for that right now, probably. But Mr. Riskevich is a signatory right now and may not be for long, so I just don't want to be in a spot there. I don't know, you want to deal with that another time, or could we nominate someone else to be a signatory that could be on the call?
Anybody would like to become a signatory that's not already one? There's only 2 left.
Both these gentlemen live in the town of Newport, close to our headquarters. I would bring them to you. Is that Mr. Tambury?
Yes, if that's, whatever you guys need, if that's what we have to do, that's fine with me. I'm glad to do it.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dean. We need to vote on that. As a signatory? No. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
Dean, you're a signatory. I'll have you, please work with Bill and with Kelly to get whatever paperwork you need to have done, and we'll move forward with that. We still can process stuff today with myself and Paul.
He's not going anywhere, believe me. So I got a stack for him.
All right.
All right, very good. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right. So at this point, I apologize, but due to timing, I think we're going to just rearrange the agenda, as I'd like to be able to push the 2 applicants forward, and then we'll come back to the chairman's and CEO report and any other new business and such. So at this, I'll turn it over to Bill. And Bill, can you introduce us to the first applicant and move forward?
Yes. So the first is Sativa Medical. Of course, we talked a lot about Warwick, and in my report, I will get back to the Warwick location and the investment we made there as well. Of course, this board approved incentives for Green Thumb Industries, aka Fiorello, early on in your tenure and your term. That was for a new medical cannabis manufacturing and processing facility out at the Tech Park. Sativa, you may recall, actually received one of the early rounds of medical cannabis licenses from New York State, and they began construction, and then they were paused. They had challenges. It has been in a pause mode, for quite some time now, and they have come back. They're looking to restart the project, but they are looking for IDA assistance in doing so to help them resume and complete the project. Representing Sativa today, they have 2 representatives on. We have Colleen Hughes, who is a representative for them who actually completed this application. She's joining us tonight. And we also have Mr. Sean Baravecchio, who's Director of Compliance and Security for Sativa. So I'd like to ask if she's available. I'd like to ask Colleen to give us an overview of the project, where it stands, what the plan is, and the application for assistance. Thank you. Colleen?
Hi, thank you, Bill. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and distinguished members of the board. My name is Colleen Hughes. I'm an almost lifelong resident of Orange County, and I've been working in the medical cannabis space in New York since 2015. I serve clients in the industry in New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Colorado, and California. Prior to that, I was the executive director for Brotherhood, America's oldest winery in Washingtonville. I first began working with Sativa in 2018 when they embarked on their journey of siting their medical cannabis cultivation and processing facility, and we're exploring options in Orange County. And as you'll see from the documents in our application, there were a number of variables that had delayed completion of the facility, and we come to you today to respectfully submit our application for incentives in order to aid Sativa Medical's timely completion of the facility, to help lower the operational costs and to aid in positioning Sativa in a competitive position on the verge of adult use cannabis legalization. Sativa Medical is uniquely positioned in the industry, having an established track record of being one of New York State's 10 registered organizations to operate vertically integrated medical cannabis facilities. Sativa currently has 3 medical cannabis dispensaries throughout the state, in Brooklyn, Wappingers Falls, and Staten Island, with a 4th to be located in Ithaca. To complete this vertical integration, Sativa is building a state-of-the-art cultivation and processing facility on the site of the former correctional facility in Warwick. As some of you may be aware, due to the restrictive nature of the federal regulations pertaining to the classification of cannabis as a Schedule I drug, traditional banking and financing options are scarce for those courageous enough to enter the cannabis industry. While the nascent nature of the cannabis industry provides some unique challenges, the benefit of being positioned well in the foundational stages of the industry here in New York should prove fruitful for local economic development goals if we are successful in our endeavors to partner with agencies such as the Orange County IDA for financial support. I'm pleased to be here today on behalf of Sativa Medical to respectfully request the board to consider awarding Sativa Medical financial incentives in the form of sales tax exemption and real estate tax abatements for the remaining work to be done on site. To date, Sativa has spent over $11.5 million on the development of the facility, and to finish this project, Sativa will be spending just under $40 million to realize the full scope of the project. While it is Sativa's intention to execute the full scope of this project, the contemplated incentives would provide both short and long-term benefits to Sativa. In the short term, the sales tax exemptions would significantly reduce the overall cost of the project. And in the long term, the pilot benefit would help reduce the company's operating expenses. Without these incentives, the scope of the project size, facility output, overall number of jobs, and their ability to spearhead and support meaningful community programs would be severely diminished. With that, I thank you for your time, and we respectfully request your consideration for awarding these incentives. And if it's okay, I can turn it over to my colleague, the Director of Compliance and Security for Sativa, Sean Baravecchio, to provide some more details on the project.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Colleen. Members of the Board of Directors of the Orange County IDA, good evening. My name is Sean Baravecchio, and I'm here on behalf of Sativa Medical, again, as the company's Director of Compliance and Security. So as my colleague Colleen mentioned, Sativa is one of 10 registered organizations in the New York State Medical Cannabis Program. We operate 3 medical cannabis dispensaries in the state of New York, located in Wappingers Falls, Staten Island, and Brooklyn, with a 4th planned for the city of Ithaca. And I'm here this evening to express our gratitude to the board for considering our application for financial assistance and to convey our excitement in being able to fully realize what will become the cornerstone of our operations in this state. The construction of our planned, fully operational, 128,000 square foot permanent cultivation, manufacturing, and processing facility in Warwick, New York, an undertaking that we began back in 2018 before encountering a number of unexpected issues that prevented us from completing the facility. The incentives we now seek, sales tax exemptions and a payment in lieu of tax agreement or pilot for the purposes of a real property tax abatement, are so critically important to our business for many reasons, as we've made clear in our application. Financial assistance would help ensure that Sativa can effectively compete with other cannabis companies in the state, many of which have received similar benefits from IDAs throughout the state, including the Orange County IDA. Without these incentives, we'd be forced to operate with higher expenses, including operating costs for the foreseeable future, which would put us at an economic disadvantage. And although the project would likely proceed without the agency's financial assistance, the overall scope of the project would be severely diminished without the incentives we're seeking. Specifically, moving forward without receiving financial assistance would likely reduce the project size, facility output, overall number of jobs, and our ability to spearhead and support meaningful community programs. To touch on the local impact for a moment, the facility is projected to create 100 jobs with full benefits, with the expectation that about 80 of those jobs will be filled by local residents. The project will also involve considerable construction, engineering, and architectural expenditures, much of which will be paid directly to local contractors, subcontractors, and other professionals. Completing construction of this facility would have an impact throughout the state, more specifically on its registered medical cannabis patient population. Sativa's operations at its Warwick facility would expand access to medical cannabis and medical cannabis products by registered patients statewide. I'd like to close by saying that we're confident that the agency's financial assistance could provide us with the long-term economic sustainability we'll need to complete the full scope of the project and meaningfully contribute to local development efforts. We thank you for your time and consideration and look forward to hopefully working together in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Anything else to add, Colleen?
No, I think Sean did a wonderful job. So if there's any questions, sure, we're ready.
Thank you both. If the board has any questions, ask now. Otherwise, if the board. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Doctor.
Hold on, I'd just like to have Bill.
Yeah, just for clarification, you said you deal just with cash. Banks have no relationships with you, right? Banks, you don't have any relationship with banks. just deal with cash, you said, right?
No relationship with banks.
Banks, yeah. No, you deal only in cash, right? You don't bank, you don't go,
No, not necessarily. There are some payment processing tools in place for people that can use debit cards to purchase their medical cannabis products in the dispensaries. So there are traditional sort of banking, you can have a bank account, but the funding that would be available for operating is not the same as going to a bank and getting a loan for a cannabis business because of the federal legalization effort. It's still considered a Schedule I drug federally. So FDIC banks would not insure any kind of banking from cannabis.
thank you, yeah.
Thanks, Colleen. And to add to that, we generally work with small, regional community banks. And as Colleen mentioned, traditional financing arrangements, generally aren't available to operators in the cannabis industry.
So Bill, I'd like to have you talk briefly about discussions that you've had that you let me know about with the host municipality.
Yes.
Can you quickly go over like the entire stuff that we've done at that campus?
Sure.
And, the ideas that we've done, but more importantly, the recent conversations that we've had with local elected officials.
Yeah, thank you. Just to recap, we talked about it a couple of times over the last several months because it's kind of come to full circle, but this IDA made investments in the former Mid-Orange Correctional Facility in Warwick, now known as the Warwick Office and Technology Corporate Park, the Tech Park as we call it. Total investments of $3.5 million. First to make the shovel-ready pad sites available out of the green fields that were there. Sativa began construction on one of them. The rest of the share of the parcels GTI is building on. We also helped set up an accelerator, a CBD accelerator and such. Because it was a former prison, there was a state grant. I will just add that we got $3 million back total, so we made a $500,000 investment there. We did, again, we received, our last payment was $2 million there. We've been meeting with the town of Warwick, both to talk about the future of the accelerator there on site and to talk about projects like this. And we were able to speak with the supervisor about this project. Like us, he wants to see the Sativa project be completed. And if they're worthy of it, they need incentives, he's supportive of it. So that was our main conversation. And I've made the other local elected officials aware in the area as well.
Another point that I'd like to bring up, as part of this application, for those that reviewed it, this is a request for assistance moving forward. This is not retroactive. So they are asking for incentives for stuff that they're going to be doing from a certain point forward. So there has been some investment on the property. We're not looking to go and recreate the wheel. I will say, though, that I'll apologize on behalf of the IDA for the previous board and the people who ran the organization, because you should have never have been allowed to not put together a regular application like everybody else had. I'll say that tongue in cheek, but I'll say that really from the heart, because manufacturing in these type of jobs and this type of investment, specifically on a shovel-ready program that we've already incentivized, is exactly what this IDA is about, and it's exactly what this funding, these incentives are for. I thank you for recognizing the need for them, but more importantly, recognizing the situation that you're in, and not just leaving to go to a different state and or a place that's a lower cost of doing business, but more importantly, giving us the option to potentially providing you with much needed incentives in order for you to fully develop the project like you originally envisioned, like our vision was, like Warwick's vision was, like the state's vision was, the county's vision was, the region's vision was. Everybody's vision for this property is exactly what this type of project is about. So with that, I think we're going to open it up to any questions that we may have from board members, and then move forward with a resolution.
Yeah, we'd be asking the board if you want to consider consider incentives for this application, then we'd ask you to pass a resolution authorizing a public hearing.
So a public hearing where both not only the public but the elected officials and anybody else would, and that would take place by our official procedures at a host municipality site in the host municipality. This would be Warwick area. Well, that was still to be determined, would be properly announce and would be recorded and would be subject to public laws, just like all of us, just like these meetings are, and that would be announced in the near future.
Absolutely.
I'll open it up to board members. I'll open up for any questions, being from the Warwick area and knowing these distinct parcels.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good project, and I realize they're not going anywhere. They already have a significant investment, but I think, just our continuing support of the whole project there in Warwick, I think good move
Yeah.
through this project.
Yeah, yes, I support the fact that the resolution for public hearing would be fine. Public hearing, as a chairman mentioned. Right.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm trying to make it just so we're not talking over each other. Any other questions that you may have or concerns at this point?
No.
Okay. Dean, any questions, concerns that you may have as a board member?
No, I support the project. I was just curious on the other facilities that you have, the other 4 facilities or in the process of, do you have IDA benefits for those as well? Just curiosity.
We do not. We have 3 active facilities, 3 active medical cannabis dispensaries in the state of New York, and a planned 4th dispensary. We do not. We've never received IDA benefits for any of those facilities.
Okay, I was just curious about that, but I do support this with the other projects.
Thank you, Dean. Those are just dispensaries, correct? Not facilities like this, correct?
That's correct.
Right, it's a big difference.
They're
And I agree. Thank you.
That's a big difference. All right, obviously, if we decide to move forward, it'll go to public hearing, and we'll still, as a board, have the opportunity to opine, to ask questions, and then to eventually, if we, with public input, decide to move forward, to do another resolution in the future that would allow them to move forward and to receive these benefits. So with that, if no other further questions, I'd like to, do we
Entertain a motion for authority to hold a public hearing.
entertain a motion for authority to hold a public hearing? All those in favor say, or can I make a motion? Yeah, I'll make a motion. Thank you. All right, I'm a little hungry. I should bring food to this. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Dean. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, carried for all unanimous. Thank you.
Good.
Stay tuned. Sativa, thank you. You'll be hearing from Bill about scheduling the public hearing at the host municipality in the very near future. And we look forward to having you back in front of us after the public has a chance to come.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, all board members. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can stick on and fall asleep, or you're more than welcome to jump off, whatever you deem necessary. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bill, next one.
Okay, next, the second applicant is Walgreens, actually. We've been communicating with the representatives for a number of weeks now under Project Nucleus 14, I believe it was. They are considering space at Route 300 in the town of Newburgh that's being developed by Matrix Development right now. They're considering being a lessee of space there. That would be a micro fulfillment facility. Pardon me, I'm getting caught up here. Where they use high-tech equipment and employees, or 200 employees that are proposed for this project, really to pick, sort, assemble, and distribute packages of pharmaceuticals to the general area. It is Walgreens. That had been confidential until now, when we're requiring them to disclose the name of the product of the applicant. We have a representative, I believe 2 gentlemen are on. I'm only seeing Steve. We have Steve McClure from Opportunity Alliance. He also drafted the application, and he's representing them on this call. And I'd like to ask him, with your permission, to present on the project as proposed in the application. Steve, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thanks, Bill. Thanks, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I have been doing site selection work for Walgreens for the last decade. I used to be Secretary of Commerce for Illinois a long time ago. And Walgreens is basically in a situation where I haven't seen them in all the years that I worked for them, where they are looking to move quickly on micro fulfillment centers in various locations, strategic locations across the country. This location, if it's located here, would serve 3 states in terms of delivering from this facility, which would be highly roboticized, specific pharmaceuticals to relieve the pharmacists of some filling duties, as well as the technicians, to allow for more kind of health and wellness duties and other consultations with consumers at those facilities. And so I'm a part of, and my partner, Andy Hamilton, who I believe is listening in right now, are part of a large team of folks within the company, or out in our case, consultants to the company, who have been looking at various facilities and looking at various locations over the last, not weeks, but actually several months. We have found this facility in Newburgh. The Matrix Development Group has constructed, and the facility is a nice facility. It's a large facility. It's about 215,000 square feet of facility. We actually would be using about 105,000 square feet to place this equipment that we're looking for to put in, which is about a $24 million investment in equipment. It would be creation of 200 jobs in the area, and the benefits for those jobs, as well as the pay, the average pay for the jobs is about $41,000 a year. The pay range is anywhere from $30-some thousand to $140,000. So it's everything from technicians to tech assistants to pharmacists. And I think it would be a very nice fit for the area. Because of the situation, we're trying to find this building. We're going to have to sublet the other half of the building to another entity. And because of just the unique circumstances here versus other sites, particularly another site in a different state, we are asking here for simply the sales tax exemption on the equipment. And that's our ask today. And we're happy to be here. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Just one point of clarification, Steve, just wanted to, knowing the site, my parents live around the corner from it. It's something that's not constructed yet. I think you said it was constructed, but it's not constructed yet. It's planned to be constructed and received full approvals from town of Newburgh, but it's not constructed yet.
I'm sorry, I misspoke there.
Just wanted to clarify for the record that it's something that's not constructed. All right, so with that, Bill, any further comments on regards to, we've seen the owner of the property, Matrix, build sites all throughout Orange County and the Hudson Valley. They've done some very quality stuff with some really major brands and received IDA incentives in the past. But anything that we need to clarify, this is a pretty straightforward one where you're looking to get sales and use tax exemption on equipment, very robotic, specialized, specific equipment that would go inside of the leasehold of which you're leasing. And obviously that would be movable. It wouldn't be fixed it wouldn't stay with the building. It would be owned by the applicant, correct?
That is correct, yes. And as you mentioned, Matrix is the developer. They also brought Amerisource Bergen, so this does fit in with a pharmaceutical cluster that we have here. So it is a nice fit, in that regard as well.
And a project that was recently approved by the town of Newburgh, meaning the overall project.
Yes, a few years ago, absolutely. And it is a competitive situation. They are looking at another site in another state. So just want to underscore that. But that's all I have to add.
All right. So I'll open it up to any questions from board. Paul?
No, I'm good. Pretty straightforward.
Dean, any questions, Dean?
I was just curious. So this would have to go in the host community again would be Newburgh, or because this sales tax would be the county?
So in this instance, the sales and use tax is a mix of local sales and use tax and state sales and use tax.
Yes.
So it's 8% on the total purchase of the, I'll say, equipment. And I'll use equipment as general equipment that they're asking for in their application.
Yes, Vincent. So,
Dean, any other questions or concerns?
No, that was all. So it'll be back that, that meeting will be in Newburgh? Is that?
Yes, if we decide to go with public hearing, which is required, then we would have that meeting in the town of Newburgh. Want to make that distinction.
Yes. All right, no, I think it's a great project.
Thank you. Dr. Clark, any questions?
yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me, right? Yeah. With a project like that, is there any economic impact study that one can look at? Because we do have economic impact study that shows how many jobs that will be created, the multiplier effect in each of the situations. You have a study done, right, regarding that?
The company has not done a study on the full economic spinoff of the project. However, if you look at the 200 jobs and you look at a payroll, starting off payroll of about $8.2 million, there will be considerable spinoff as those dollars generate to the community. I'm trying to think of what exactly. I think it depends upon the manufacturing, but I think if you took a roughly $7 to 1 or $7 for every $1 spent, I think that you're going to find in terms of the payroll taxes, I think you're going to find numerous other jobs spin off because of the money circulating within the community and within the area. But no, in answer to your question, we have not done an economic analysis of what the further spinoff will be.
Dr. Hodak, any further questions? Okay. One thing that I really like about this project, I'll make a comment, is that we have a pharmaceutical school up in Albany, which would be right. All their graduates would be able to potentially work at a facility like this. It would be a natural fit. It'd be something that would keep our youth closer to home. A company like this being a national brand, I'm sure is a great company to work for. I know that a lot of us probably been to Walgreens and sometimes we go there when we're sick or to get a shot or whatever, but I think it'd be great. And I think that it would be a welcome addition to the mix of healthcare and pharmaceutical stuff that we have not only in the region, but specifically in Orange County. So with that, without any further questions, I'll open it up to, I'll make a motion, or have anyone like to make a motion, have a public hearing on this in the town of Newburgh. I'll entertain the motion. I'd like to get a second, please.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Dean. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, 4 ayes, no nays, no abstentions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board.
Thank you, Steve. And you'll be hearing from Bill soon about scheduling that into the town of Newburgh area. We look forward to having you back once we get public comment. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Speak to you soon.
Okay.
So just a quick note before we move forward. This is these are 2 applications. I know they're just on the preliminary stage, but it's exactly what the IDA is meant to do. And this is exactly what we're here to do, is to try to help and assist companies come to the area, and specifically to Orange County. If these 2 come to fruition, these are one of our first 2 applications by ourselves that we didn't inherit or were already being worked on. This could be 300 jobs, and very good jobs in the fields that are, and for 2 companies that are growing and that are great. Not every county or every municipality can say that they have stuff like this. So I look forward to seeing the public comments on this, getting the support from our partners and everybody from the county. But more importantly, if we can move forward with this, we can see some great projects happening and some jobs being created in the next 12 to 24 months with this. So this is something that is exactly what I'll just ask for staff to do, is to keep us apprised of the status and make sure that the applicants know of the fees that are associated, put that in writing, so we have that, so there's no ambiguity about that. Work forward on the resolutions, let us know, we'll either attend in person or virtually, and we'll try to do it at the convenience of the host municipality and the public at large. I'll leave that up to, we can leave that up to staff to determine when the best dates and times those are.
Absolutely.
Obviously, working with council, make sure that it's all done on, with our public accountability, and fully transparent, and make sure that we post whatever needs to be posted to our website so that everyone can see it and ingest any of the information.
Very good.
Any further questions or concerns on the new applicants? Okay, let's get back on the agenda.
We're back to the chairman's report.
Hold off, though. Let's do new accelerator stuff. Let's have you finish the
Great.
the new accelerator stuff.
Thanks very much. Yes, I mentioned at last month's meeting for the Middletown Accelerator, co-located with the Toro Medical College in the former Horton Hospital facility. It's been less than full, let's put it that way. So I've been interested in trying to add some neighbors to our current subtenants there, and we have two possible new sublessees. One is A to Z Consulting, also known as OCIDA, actually known to plenty of folks around here. A very interesting product. They're developing a synthetic blood product. So they've been doing research at the Toro facility involving students, Toro Medical College students. That's really the important piece. Their space at the Toro site was flooded due to some construction, and it ruined a lot of their electronic equipment, a lot of their high-powered microscopes and such, and they're looking for new space, mostly to allow students to come back in and do their research that adds to their studies. So that's one. The second is a second venture by one of our current subtenants. The current subtenant is Exasoothe, which is an eczema cream product. And their owner, Tiara Oliver, she and a colleague, Shakira Jemison, are starting a total abundant living, total wellness. And they're going to be doing kind of a health spa out of one of the pods in the Middletown Accelerator. So we have leases for both of them. And let me just give you the totals here. So A to Z, they would be renting a total of 248 square feet at a total of $310 a month. Their lease would commence on February 1st. And of course, they know that our lease expires with our landlord in November, mid-November, November 19th. So the lease does expire then. And there is a termination clause that we have in there with 30 days notice. We could terminate the lease at any time. That's A to Z. The other, pardon me.
So both, this lease will be at the market rate as determined by our costs.
Correct.
Landlord, and termination clause 30-day cancelable by either party without clause.
Correct.
And it's not exceeding the length of our lease with our landlord.
Exactly. The other Abundant Living Total Wellness, in partnership with Style Gemini, they'd be leasing 546 square feet at the same rate of $15 a square foot, which is a new rate we calculated months ago when we drafted new subleases for existing tenants there, and it does include the tenant's share of the common area charges. So that is what that rate is. Again, Abundant Living Total Wellness, 248 square feet, $682.50 a month. Their lease would begin in March and end in November. And that's it. There will be two owners signing on to that. So those are the two leases we're presenting for your approval to bring in two new Middletown Accelerator subtenants.
Okay. Open that up to any questions from board members. We'll go to Paul first. Paul, any questions? Dean, any questions on these two subtenants?
Yes, I apologize. So the one there's two in one. Is that correct? That's that Styled Gemini and Abundant Living. Is that?
Yeah, but really, they're partners in that, and I wasn't sure if we could have two names on the lease, but it sounds like we can. So that's the partnership.
That's fine, and I'm good with it. I hope they do well, and again, like reiterate what Mike said. This is what it's for, and hopefully these companies thrive. Thank you.
Dr. Odock, any questions, concerns?
No question. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, we have an actual resolution as part of our board packet. It doesn't need to be read, but I'll entertain a motion to accept the resolution as written.
I'll make that motion.
Grace Paul, can I get a second?
Vincent, second.
Thank you, Dr. Odock. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 4 ayes, unanimous. Carried. Thank you.
Okay. Also on here is board officers and committees. We had a little pre-discussion.
I would table that until February.
Sure.
All right, so we'll table that. Basically, as everyone knows, as the board members know, we are down 3 board members. And the legislature has been discussing putting some people onto the board. We'll look at revisiting that in February. The idea right now is if we get the new board members in time before our board meeting in February, we'll have them come in. We'll make sure that they are properly educated with the different things that they need to do and the forms that they need to do. We'll give them a quick economic development 101 if they don't already know it and what IDAs do. But more importantly, we would revisit assigning committee meetings and potentially even doing a election of officers if it's so needed. So we'll table that and we'll discuss it at the next board meeting. And we'll work on that between now and then. With that, we'll go up to Chairman's report. I'll be very quick in regards to this. A lot of different things are happening in the economic development world. You have ongoing stuff in regards to Empire State Development and their consolidated funding application and open door with those applications coming in. You've seen a lot of stuff get recently obtained some funding from them. Some projects will be coming in front of us, we hope, in regards to that. We also have activity at the local level with the local IDAs that have different projects coming in front of them. One of the things that we talked about in regards to 2022 is a shovel-ready program. So part of the idea here is that we'll put together a work session amongst board members and consultants to come up with what that nomenclature would be. Basically what we would like to do and what we would like to see and how we'd like to publicly solicit and potentially try to mimic what we did in Warwick. The case study there, I think, should be a case study throughout the entire state, let alone the entire country, showing how a little bit of money produces a lot of bit of jobs and a lot of bit of capital investment. And it takes a facility that was off the tax rolls, not producing anything. And if you haven't been there, please visit it. It's unbelievable. There's all kinds of construction going on. There's existing tenants there. There's the accelerator there that those tenants are driving, and hopefully someday in the future, we'll see some of them building their own buildings, whether it's on that site or close to it. So we'll be putting together, I'll say like a working group. That working group will be just putting together what the ideas would be for this shovel-ready program. And then we'll have staff present that to the board, and the board will vote on moving forward with what we want to do with that. That is an idea that we'd like to get done in the first half of this year so that we could potentially solicit how we're going to do it in the second half of the year so we can have some deliverables by next year. Mm-hmm. That's a goal. It's something that I think that's attainable, that's measurable, and it's exactly, I think, something that this organization needs to do, specifically in this county, to help spur some stuff. With that, we're also up against a couple different things that are happening. I'm happy to see some recent news about the potential expansion of Route 17. I know it was added to some of the state funding or budgeting. That would be unbelievable, and I think it would be an eye-opener to the area and would open up additional sites that are along that corridor that are properly zoned and that the host municipalities want to have some commercial development in. One specifically being Camp LaGuardia. I think that will help that site tremendously. So we look forward to doing that. And then lastly, want to really give a heartfelt thanks to all the work that Bill and Kelly have done through 2021. It was a crazy year. We had Bill as an ad hoc person, and then through a hiring process, and Kelly really managing the entire office and doing everything that she does. More importantly, I think we can not put a pat on our back or pat ourselves on the back, but those financials were eye-opening. To go from spending in 2020 and before that millions of dollars on stuff with no return to now having reverse that ship, and more importantly, setting ourselves up so we can do something like a shovel-ready program. I can only envision or imagine places within the state that don't have the resources or the ability, or more importantly, the sites or the access, and how they're trying to combat this business climate. Thank God here we've been doing decent to well. We've had some good projects. We've got 2 in front of us today that are great, I think. And I think that we're in a position where we can prove our wares. We can prove and get the trust back from the county residents and our elected officials that this organization is set up to do the right thing, to do it transparently, to do it open, without any alternative motives and any conflicts of interest, but more importantly, to produce results. And the results are going to be like these 2 applications here with 300 jobs, and it's going to help us keep our youth here, but more importantly, keep people gainfully employed in companies that they want to work for, not that they need to work for. So that's all good and well, and we look forward to moving forward with that. With that, I'll turn it over to Bill for a CEO report. Thank you.
Well said, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. You touched on a number of these things, so I'm just going to go quickly. Just a Warwick update. We've gone into it a couple of times, but we did, since the last meeting, receive the $2 million check from the town of Warwick. That's been deposited. Again, now we've received $3 million in reimbursement. The $500,000 was assigned by the former board as a non-refundable grant, but the rest has been reimbursed, and of course, it's a success story that continues to grow there. GTI, for example, Green Thumb, we mentioned it a couple of times, across the road from the Sativa site. They are moving very well. I think you've been up to the site.
Tons of local people working.
Unbelievable. So we did issue a press release, which I have to make some follow-up calls. It hasn't been picked up really much yet, but we told a story about the entire Warwick Tech Park, and then we also listed specifically who are the local companies, mostly Orange County, but others throughout the region, a couple Rockland and such, but a lot of local companies were a part of it, as you said, and it's nice to see. That's what it's all about. It's the reason
why we do this.
Exactly, absolutely. So that's great, and they've been doing an incredible amount of excavation work at the GTI site. It's amazing what's going on there. So they're moving very quickly. That's gone very well. Audit, JGS is in the middle of conducting our audit for 2021. We've been working closely with them. That's something that we've also, UHY is prepared for. Of course, it was their year, so they're preparing that. But Shannon is, and I appreciate her staying with us, by the way. Shannon is well aware of it and being in tune so that we can stay in step as we get through that process and into 2022. So that's happening. What we talked about last month was an extension of sales tax exemption for Southgate Flats Hotel. Just their costs, of course, skyrocketed. So we do have a public hearing. Mr. Genzel is working with us on that project. We have a public hearing that we'll have in Highland Falls, just to as part of the process to approve their increased sales tax exemption. I mentioned email transition. We are getting away from the G Suite and getting to going to Microsoft. I just asked board members to stay in contact with me and with Dean Brady if you need any help with that transition. We want to make sure no one loses any communication.
I need help.
Yes,
Well,
we're going to give it to you. Absolutely.
I have no idea how to do it.
Listen, that's what Dean's here for. So I have all of you, in case you think I'm only saying it to you, I've said it to everyone. You know, I want to utilize, and Dean is more than willing to make a house call if necessary as well. So we'll get that sorted out. You mentioned RFPs that we still have out there, procurement for local labor auditing. As you mentioned, we are going to, I'll present that to you next month, just like we did with the CFO options. I'm doing my best to compare them, get them, you know, apples to apples, so to speak, so that you really can do a comparative analysis. So we'll do that. We also have the RFP for bond counsel. That's something we will deal with after local labor auditing. So that's coming as well. Of course, we've talked about new board members coming on. We'll talk about committee assignments at that point as well as our officers. And my last piece was, yes, getting to an RFQ for what I think is the initial phase of the Shovel Ready initiative, which is property analysis. So we'll be looking to get that kicked off as well. If not in February, then in March for sure. That's really all for me.
All right. Any questions or concerns about what Bill just presented from the board? All right. We'll go on to unfinished business.
Our last item of business unfinished is 360 Middletown Holding. That is also known as 13th Avenue Fish Market. They came to Orange County a couple of years ago. They were incentivized by the IDA. It's a fish market distribution center on Crystal Road in town of Wallkill. Same story we've heard from so many other applicants and recipients of IDA benefits. COVID, et cetera, has delayed their progress. Their sales tax exemption expired technically at the end of the year, so we're looking for a retroactive extension to allow them to utilize the remainder of their sales tax exemption benefits through the end of 2022. By the way, they were approved for just over $150,000 in sales tax exemption. They've used about $55,000 to date, so they have almost $100,000 left to use under what was approved. So they're just looking for some more time to do that.
So in this instance, since they're not asking for more, it's not public hearing worthy.
That is correct.
For lack of a better term.
Yes.
So this is just an extension that we can grant to, and obviously there's distinct reasons. If they were asking for more, then we would do like we did with Southgate's Hotel.
Correct.
And ask for a public hearing so we can help.
If the amount that they were asking for exceeds $100,000, he would be in the public hearing.
Thank you. I knew there was something out there. I couldn't remember what it was all.
Yeah.
Extra. Okay. Over.
But in this case, they're not asking for any additional financial assistance, simply more time to use what was previously approved.
Sure. For those that don't know, this is in the town of Wallkill. This is not something that went to the town of Wallkill IDA. This was something that came to the Orange County IDA back then, for reasons unbeknownst to me. But so it's something that we have to do, not them, at this point. So any questions, concerns from board members? With that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the extension for their sales tax exemption for 360 Middletown Holdings LLC / 13th Avenue Fish Market.
I'll make a motion.
So, thank you, Dean. Second, Paul. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
There we go.
Unanimous. I don't think that we have a need for executive session. Board members, do you have a need for executive session for any reason? I don't believe we have one. With that, we'll open it up to board members. Any questions, concerns, anything you'd like to announce, anything you'd like to talk about before we adjourn this meeting and go into the capital fund? I keep on saying capital funding because
Yeah.
Orange County funding.
Okay, Chairman,
Yes.
Vincent,
Steve,
yes.
Dr.
It might not be very necessary. I was just thinking if, because in the office, you only have Bill and Kelly. Is it necessary to create a smaller office? I mean, an assistant to Kelly or someone, because if Kelly is on vacation now, who else is in the office that you might talk to if you call the office? Is it necessary? It's just a suggestion.
Yes, thanks for asking. You did approve in the 2022 budget to add an admin person up to 30 hours a week. We have been working with someone in our minutes, Marty Baras. She has prior experience with the IDA, so she's been helping us with that. She is the candidate. I have been asked to go through the process like we have through procuring everything, including hiring new people where we need to consider other folks. So I'm going to put an ad out there and I'll provide some additional information to the board to justify why we need additional administrative help. But just the one point you raised, Dr. Odak, that Kelly does, we have worked her hard and she does deserve to go on vacation. She likes vacation. So we do need a little help there. We've used Marty a little bit to help us get through, but I need to go through the proper person to give us all, like everything, give us all the options that we can consider and make sure we're making the right decision. So Again, I'll be justifying that, giving you the backup on that, but looking for, you know, your support as we look to bring someone on more consistently. And then I'll also mention we have budget, Doctor, we have in the budget of bringing back a chief operations officer, really who in prior staff, they really handled the nuts and bolts of IDA operations. So, you know, I don't expect that to be justified until we get busy again and we start to get to some of these other areas like shovel ready. But boy, just like that, we have 2 applications. We have a couple others in the pipeline, so hopefully we're getting there. But that's something else that as we get closer, I'll be presenting and building a business case for to present to you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other concerns?
I just want to make a quick comment. This will be my last meeting as a IDA board member. The legislature said at this point, we no longer need to have a legislator on the IDA board. I know with Bill and, you know, Mike has done it in the past monthly reports to Education Economic Development Committee. I think we've got a great working relationship with the IDA, probably the best one that I've seen in the 8 years I've been here. So that being said, we will be considering 4 new board members. They'll be presented at the E&E committee meeting this Friday, and assuming they all go through, which I don't see why they wouldn't, they'll be voted on by the full legislature on February 3rd. And that will end my term on the IDA board. And with that being said, I just want to say it's been a real pleasure working with all of you. I know it's been a very turbulent year. You've been thrown into a situation that a lot of people probably would have walked away from. But I think, you know, as Mike said, this board has done a tremendous job in turning things around and putting things back right on the right track. And I'm looking forward to seeing all the positive things that the IDA is going to accomplish here in the future. So, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. We
Well,
appreciate
thank you for your
time.
service. And you've been pulling quadruple duty, not only with stuff you do personally, but all the stuff you do for the county. You're always welcome to attend any of our meetings.
Oh, yeah.
You're always welcome to have any input that you have or attend any of our workshops. And we look forward to presenting in front of you whenever need be in your new role at the county legislative committees and such. But if you ever have any questions or concerns about the IDA, reach out to Bill.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
All right, with that,
Well, I just want to add a couple of this. I just want to say thank you, Paul, for the opportunity, and appreciate your time. I know Mike, you've been talking about, the board did a great job, but I've only been been at the board meetings. I know you and Paul have put a lot of effort in the at night and whatever to review all this information or bring it with us. I really appreciate it, and you should be commended for the job that you've done as well. Thank you.
Yes, I would also add to that. I would echo what Ben just said. Thank you, Paul. I mean, we miss you. I mean, I wish you continue to be with us. But thank you. It made everything interesting. The station was very interesting. So thank you again. Happy I met you, an opportunity to meet you, and that was the opportunity I had to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure working with all of you.
awesome. With that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.